Hey bro, can I ask you a quick question for TikTok?
No, sorry bro, I'm in a rush.
Well, since nobody wants to talk to me, we're at UT. UT of Austin. School 6 of the Texas Torah Gen Z generation at war. So buckle in. I don't know what to expect because nobody wants to talk to me. But should be cool. Let's see. Okay, first question is, what pronouns do you use?
He, him.
He, him.
He, him.
I guess she, her. I'm she, her.
Oh, he, him.
He, him.
She, her. Oh, she, her.
He,
He, him.
He, him.
He, him. He, him.
She, her. She, her. She, her. She, her. She, her.
He, him.
She, her. She, her.
I'm he, him.
He, him.
She, her.
Perfect.
She, her.
He, him.
he, him.
He, him.
Next question is, would you consider yourself to be more pro-choice or pro-life?
Pro-choice.
Okay, talk to me about it. Why, bro? Pro-choice.
I just feel that I don't think like the fetus itself is, I guess, as much as a life as somebody who's actually being born. I think abortions, I don't necessarily agree with abortions maybe like a week before the pregnancy,
Right, yeah.
but early enough, I think a lot of times it can be better for the child, because I feel like parents who are looking for abortions are not those who may be the best suited for raising kids.
Pro-choice.
Okay, talk to me about it. Why pro-choice?
I was raised in Texas, which is generally a pretty conservative place.
Right.
But, just from the experiences of the people that I know in my life, I think that it's more important that we allow people their individual liberties, and that, the people who are making choices about their body are allowed these things for themselves.
Makes sense.
Pro-life.
Pro-life. What about you, bro?
Pro-choice.
Pro-choice.
I'm more pro-choice too, yeah.
Can y'all talk to me kind of why y'all might think the way y'all do? Is that okay?
No,
Or you
no
don't want to?
comment, no.
What about you, bro? Why pro-choice?
It's just personal opinion.
Personal opinion. Okay.
Probably like split in the middle. It's very situational. I think there should be consequences for just like having intercourse, and like you should live with those consequences, but then there's situations where it's not always up to someone and it's not a choice to have the intercourse, and so getting pregnant from that, they should have a choice in the matter.
Gotcha. Do y'all support like marriage equality or gay marriage?
Yeah,
Perfect. What about you, bro?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, amazing.
I have a lot of gay friends. So.
Which is great. Good.
Yeah.
Good. A lot of people don't, which is a problem. Would you consider yourself to be a feminist?
I don't know if I'd say that. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
The definition of
Sure.
feminism, I guess, or I hear the word tossed around. So
What do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay. I'll say so.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
I think that at least in this country and mostly in the world, women haven't been treated super well for a very long time, and I think that we have, a lot of stuff to make up for that. I think that there is probably a branch of feminism that tries to, put down men, and I think that tends to go a little bit too far. But I think that the best and most productive form of feminism is that tries to make sure that there are as few differences socially and politically between men and women as possible.
I mean, I think that a feminist has a very negative connotation attached to it. So I consider myself feminist, but not in the like strict, hardcore way that society usually deems feminism to be.
Maybe most feminism isn't radical. Maybe the news just pushed it to be radical to stop women empowerment. Do y'all think that the federal minimum wage should be raised from $7.25?
Honestly, I don't really know. I don't have a comment.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What do y'all think the livable wage in Austin, Texas is? Like what you would need to survive?
No clue.
No clue. That's
No
okay.
clue.
I
Yeah.
can tell y'all. It is $21.63, quite above $7.25, right? Why do y'all think that heads of corporations and billionaires want to hoard the money for themselves instead of paying their employees enough to simply survive?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Great, yeah.
Yes, just because of inflation, everything's more expensive these days. But then again, it's hard to raise the minimum wage when everything's expensive.
So yeah.
Yes, I do believe we should raise the minimum wage.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Nobody could live off that,
Do you support like marriage equality or gay marriage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, amazing.
I have a lot of gay friends. So.
Which is great. Good.
Yeah.
Good. A lot of people don't, which is a problem. What do y'all think what would y'all assume a livable wage in Austin is?
Livable wage?
What do y'all think that would be?
An hour?
$16 an hour.
Like 16?
Or more.
Maybe $20 an hour.
I'm gonna say 20.
Way more money.
It depends. If you're a student, you can get away with like 15. You know, but if you actually need to live in an apartment,
Yeah, maybe 20 plus.
20. Yeah, 20 plus.
No, y'all would be right. The livable wage in Austin is $21 and like 63 cents. So it's a grave injustice to have a $7 payment.
Yes.
Yes.
100%. And I know that other states like have higher minimum wages already.
Yeah. What do y'all think would be the livable wage in Austin? If y'all had to guess.
$15 an hour?
$15 an hour?
I was gonna say maybe like 13, but
13?
15. Yeah, that sounds right.
So the minimum wage, or the livable wage, according to City Hall, is actually $21.63.
Wow.
Isn't it? Do you find it weird that there's billionaires running the corporations, but they're not willing to pay their employees enough to survive?
For sure. Yes.
I think it's crazy that you can't even make like a livable wage.
Right. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Even if minimum wage was actually adjusted for inflation when it was put into place in the 1940s, it would be like $28 right now. But that's neither here nor there, is it?
Yeah. I used to get paid minimum wage,
Yeah.
so I know how it is, and I think it's just like in other states, right? In the Northeast, it's a lot higher. Like I have friends that make like 22 minimum wage up there, and I guess like the cost of living is higher, but
What do you
it's
think?
still like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like no one can live off that here,
Yeah,
especially students or just
Right.
like people in like lower income areas.
What do you think the livable wage in Austin is?
Maybe like 35,
Okay.
45,
Yeah.
that range.
I mean,
Obviously, we're not getting paid that here. So.
I wouldn't be mad at that. It's actually $21.63.
Oh, okay.
Which is less than what you
I
said,
get
but
less- I get paid less than
a
that
lot
an hour.
more than what people get paid.
Yeah.
Which is
True.
crazy, especially considering there's people with hundreds of
Yeah.
billions of dollars in this world.
Yeah. Crazy.
Do y'all think that we should raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yes.
It's like harder to live nowadays that everything's rising,
Yes.
and it's not fair to pay people $7, bro.
Right,
My brother, he's
right.
a waiter, and he gets paid $2 an hour.
Oh my God.
Cause tips, you know,
Right,
he makes money off of
which is
tips.
also-
But still, if somebody doesn't tip you, then that's your bills, and
Right.
how are you gonna pay your bills? And
Right.
it's a whole
Yeah.
a thing.
And what do y'all? What if y'all had to guess? What do you think the livable wage in Austin is? Enough to like what an hourly rate to enough to survive?
Like
I don't know.
17 and up, maybe.
Yeah, probably, because Austin's an expensive city.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So according to City Hall, it's $21.63. Right.
Yeah.
Why do y'all think the billionaires that run these corporations are, I mean, one, allowed, but willing and like keeping billions from themselves, but paying their employees $7 on an hour? Like, talk to me. What do y'all think that is?
Honestly, I think it's mainly just the keep the rich rich.
Yeah.
And especially now, Inauguration Day was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't think it's getting any better.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yesterday, Elon Musk did the Nazi salute to Donald Trump on camera. Yes. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
That's weird.
That's weird.
That's very weird.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be
I
doing
feel
that.
like he feels like he can do anything because he has like unlimited money.
Right.
Like, you know.
Yeah. What about you? I can imagine how y'all feel, but just for the redundancy camera.
Wait,
What about you?
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
Disgusted.
Yeah.
Definitely
Like,
concerned that he was there, and like especially like sitting in the front row, like that kind of shows like where Trump's like ideas lie.
Right.
Yeah.
What were you
Yes,
saying?
I agree.
Yeah.
I was just honestly like at a loss for words when I saw
Right.
that. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Like the new head of our country, he really just shows where his priorities lie.
Yeah.
With that. Yeah.
And I think it's also, just to throw to my students, I think it's even worse because he's only there because he donated an insane amount of money, which would not have been possible if billionaires couldn't do it.
I definitely think that the media, especially the ones that lean Republican, they're gonna try and play it off or
Right.
tell you that it's something else
Yeah.
when it was just plain and simple. It was a Nazi salute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. What about
That's
you?
like super hateful. It just goes to show that it's just full of hate. It's not peaceful at all. That's like a sign that you just don't do, you don't believe in that kind of stuff. It's just super hateful. I just wish there was that peace and happiness, but there's unfortunately not. I've heard that it was like he was confused, that he didn't know, and that it just like he didn't mean it. And I'm like, bruh, you willingly did that. It wasn't like they forced you to do that. And it's just crazy that he thought about it and then acted on it, and that's just insane.
I definitely think that's pretty messed up. I saw some people try to excuse it as the Roman salute, but that is just a Nazi salute. So I don't really see any defending it. I think it's pretty deplorable, pretty bad.
Yeah, it is. Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah. Elon Musk did the Nazi salute to Donald Trump. How do you feel about that?
Not cool.
Not cool at all.
I have dual citizenship in Germany in here.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Interesting perspective.
Yeah, so if you were to do that in Germany, like, you would go to, like,
Isn't it a
prison.
crime?
Yeah. So you don't do that.
You don't
like,
do that. It's
no.
weird. Yeah.
No.
It's strange.
He's
No one weird. He has a lot of money. He's the weirdest person on earth. Currently, billionaires in the United States can donate as much money as they want to any political campaign.
Yeah.
Do y'all feel like they should be able to do that? Yeah. You do? What do you think?
I do, but I think it kind of depends on the person too.
Okay.
That's what I kind of think.
What about you?
You said donate money to any political campaign?
As much as they can. As much as they want.
Yeah, I mean, it's their money. It's like free will.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like it'd be wrong to restrict it, but at the same time, it obviously does give them like an advantage.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. That's my next question is, do y'all feel like that gives them an unfair access to changing policies that average people, like at least my side, I don't know y'all's bank accounts, but like that we don't have that same amount of access to?
Yeah, it does. I do think it gives us like a disadvantage.
Yeah.
It does. It does. I agree. It does.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Okay.
Like just donate to campaigns in
As
general.
much as they want.
As much as they want seems like a
I feel
little.
like there should be a cap.
Yeah, a cap definitely. Because like I get supporting like your cause, but like I don't know if you should be like the sole funder of your cause.
Yeah. Do y'all feel like giving them access to donate as much as they want gives them like an unfair access to changing policies?
Yes.
I agree, because you're gonna be like, if you're the politician, you're gonna be like, yeah, well, they did this for me, so like I need to do this for them.
Right. Which then might affect their corporation that they're running or whatever.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
No.
Definitely not.
Do y'all feel like them being able to donate as much as they want gives them unfair access to influence policies?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could see it as the more they donate, the more they
Right.
influence the party.
Yep.
And it's just like basically they're buying their way into the government.
Right.
No.
No, I think that's bribing.
Yeah. My follow-up question was, do y'all think that gives them an unfair access to change policies?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if you want to put that out there, but I voted blue. So I like, obviously, I like the efforts that Kamala Harris was like getting, you know, like,
For sure.
but obviously like that didn't work,
Yeah.
you know? And so,
Did not work.
I don't know, like I don't have a great answer
No,
for
that's
that.
okay. It's just it's really food
Yeah,
for thought.
but then you see like the billionaires that did
Right.
the different,
Like Elon Musk.
yeah, you see the difference in billionaires that donated for each side.
Right. Do you think that white privilege exists?
Yes.
Okay, talk to me about it, bro.
I mean, I've never personally, like, some of my white friends have talked about how they've been to places like in Mississippi or more of the southern states where they'll be treated differently than their black counterparts. So I've just heard stories of my friends going through stuff like that.
Okay,
So,
right. Like lived experience.
Yeah, lived experience.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely to like a certain extent, yeah.
Okay. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I'd definitely say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's like, y'all said yeah, right? Talk to me about it. Like, why do y'all think so? Whoever can jump in.
Well, I think there's a generational wealth gap from starting as back as like the Atlantic slave trade. You know, there's just not generational wealth that's passed down for people who are a victim of that.
Yes, very well said. What about you, bro? Anybody else rather have anything?
I mean, there's like certainly less than previously, but there's definitely still very prevalent racism, and I feel like that's perpetuated in like memes and humor, even though they may be like, oh, it's just funny. It's still like kids are seeing that, and that's like becoming part of their ideology. It's kind of messing up people's heads.
Way to talk about subconscious biases, facts. And also wealth, 80% of all wealth in the United States is held by white families, while 4.7 is held by black families. So interesting wealth gap. Any other comments? You don't have to.
Yeah, to add on to what Matthew's saying, like, I feel like people, like, I think it's bad that, like, based on, like, those stereotypes and jokes, people, like, think they have an idea of who people are before they actually meet them.
Right.
You know, I think that's, like, one of the most, like, worst parts of racism, like, and how it's, like, built in our culture and stuff,
I would say so, but it depends on the area.
Okay. Like area of the country, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I guess area of the country. Like where I grew up, I feel like it's kind of more negative towards white people because it's a very Hispanic-dominated area.
Okay.
And since it's such a diverse area, the more privilege goes to the Hispanic people in that location.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like just engraved in the society at the moment. Yeah.
I think it like exists to like extent, I guess. I definitely like see it like whenever it comes to like, I guess like in school or in like probably government too. So I feel like there's definitely like really big instances of it, but I feel like it's a problem of maybe like, it's definitely a big problem, especially, but I feel like there's other big problems out there that kind of like contradict it, I guess, you know.
You feel like there are racial inequalities in the United States?
I feel like there is, but not everyone has a really strong opinion on them. Like maybe there has a base on it. Like our country definitely is based on certain ideas, but not necessarily. Not everyone has them.
Yeah.
So
right. More like societally, but not necessarily like individually. Everybody.
Yeah.
A certain way.
Sure. Yeah.
Me personally, I don't see them as much because I'm from my community is like not that diverse.
Yeah.
And so I don't see it as much. So like coming to a place like this, it is like a culture shock where I'm hearing other people's experiences and they're telling me different things.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get into like a habit of understanding or a mindset of understanding that it is different for other people.
Sure.
And like trying to see that in my day-to-day life.
Of course.
I know it sounds redundant. Talk to me about it.
Racial inequalities. I know you like kind of been watching the news lately. I feel like, have y'all ever seen like the Nazis that's invading like Cleveland, Ohio right now? I feel like we wouldn't have that happening if we don't have like racial inequality. We wouldn't have stuff like, you know, Elon Musk saluting.
Right.
Like I feel like that's kind of like a little obvious.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Yes, of course.
Okay, talk to me about it. What do y'all think?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people might have a lot of prejudices that they aren't really honest about, but beyond individuals, I think there's a lot of systemic stuff that goes down into which areas are more likely to have certain demographics and the amount of money in those areas and the amount of opportunity that allows people to have later, like trying to get into college. I don't know. I think there's individual problems and overall societal problems.
No, well said. You absolutely described the effects of redlining, which is amazing. That's the generational effects. That's amazing. What about you?
I'm a minority, and so I grew up in a like majority white neighborhood, and so just like viewing like kind of the differences in how my school treated minorities versus the majority white population, there was just like a lot of like whitewashing that I saw, and like it's really difficult as a minority living in those types of situations to like sort of, I don't know, fit in. Like I had a lot of like identity issues in high school, so it's just like just a lot of systemic stuff is like really impactful, and like I just see a lot of systemic differences, and it takes a lot of, I don't know, it takes a lot on somebody who's like different than the rest of them. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. There's documented evidence of mental health or race, how race affects mental health. One of Donald Trump's main policies is mass deportation. Matter of fact, ICE raids start like today or tomorrow. How do you feel about mass deportation? Or do you support it? It's probably the better question.
I don't know if I support it. My parents are immigrants. I don't really support it like at all.
Okay.
When you grow up in a minority, like an urban area, you grow up around a lot of, you know, Hispanic people, and you kind of grow up with those people. So of course I don't support that. One of some of my biggest friends are Hispanic, Mexican. Like I can't support that, and people's fathers are getting taken away from them. What? No.
Nah, that's a hard one. I guess there has to be in certain points in history a need for that. I don't think that's a necessarily point at this moment. I definitely understand his position on it, and also the people's that they support that. I mean, I see their points. As an immigrant myself, I mean, I see both sides of the question here. So I don't necessarily support it, but I understand why.
Okay, what do you feel like the need to do it is? if you're like deporting non-criminals, normal people, they just happen to be illegal immigrants.
Well, that's where the question becomes tricky.
Yeah.
Like, at what point are we deciding this is a criminal, this is not a criminal? And the fear in people's minds is the reason we're having this situation in the first place. So it's not necessarily that they're criminals, it's just the idea that they could be criminals.
Do you feel like that? Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, do you feel like that's based on racism, especially considering that immigrants do less crime than naturalized born Americans?
I feel like it's easier to say, well, someone else is the criminals here. Someone else is bringing all this crime to the country, even though it's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is entitled to the crime, I guess, so everyone could be doing crime. So it's not really necessarily about race. It's just some people are just decide to do some crime at some point, and that does not really do anything about. It's not really about race.
Why don't they target the white immigrants then?
That's a really good question. I mean, as a society, we're just inclined to persecute specific peoples,
Yep.
and it's not necessarily fair to them, but it's just as a society we've been.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just.
No, that's all right.
We always understood certain kind of people are more bad than others, even though that's not fair. I mean, the school shooters, most of them are white, right? So. Is that really telling us anything about like races and like comments that they have, and they're really based on something?
Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of infrastructure in America, as long as it's been like an established country, has been a byproduct of immigrant labor and underpaid immigrant labor. It's just another way of outsourcing hate, and no, it's really messed up.
Yeah. Any other thoughts from that?
I mean, yeah, people who like want to be in this country, like we have really no reason to belong here more than they do, and they're willing to work for it. So
Yeah, like what they were saying, it's a country built on immigration. So
I'm a first generation immigrant. My parents came from Switzerland, which obviously is not as bad as like Mexico, like in terms of the standards of living. But like it'd be so hypocritical of me to hate on people who like immigrated here, because I mean all of us, all of our ancestries are from immigrants,
Exactly.
No, I do not support mass
Absolutely
deportation.
not. Well, okay, let me.
It would be so. I wish I would have said no. I really do.
So I'm Hispanic, and like my grandparents.
Welcome to the interview.
Sorry, this is one of our friends.
No, please. Welcome.
My grandparents were from Mexico, and they came over here maybe 30, 40 years ago. And so the idea that they possibly, or people, part of my family, because I've had an uncle that got deported, and so the idea that they could be removed from where we live, because they live in a border town, so it feels like home. There's nowhere else that could be home, and then the fact that they could be removed from that situation is really scary.
Yeah,
so I just don't think it's not a good.
Yeah.
It's bad.
No,
I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
like I say, never a person to say anything crazy, but please, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think in school and just not even in school, everywhere, we're a nation that prides ourselves on being a cultural melting pot.
Right.
And personally, I think it's just kind of crazy that when people try to come here for a better life and, coming into what we always try to pride ourselves on, such an amazing country, that we would try to send them out.
Yeah.
I think the people that try to come here is, why the country is supposed to be so amazing.
Right. Final question for you, bro. Is in this last presidential election, if you did vote, who did you vote for?
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Okay. And we just saw Trump get into office for sure, officially rather yesterday, right? What is your reaction to that?
It's disheartening. I try not to be a doomer or an alarmist at all. I think that our democracy will survive and our country will survive, probably in the next couple of years under much, much different priorities than I would have liked.
Yeah.
But I think that our democracy and our republic is stronger than any one person, and I think that it'll come out on top, even if we'll have a brief period of strife and difficulty along the way.
Yeah.
I voted for Kamala.
Okay.
Kamala Harris.
Okay.
I wrote in a name. I wrote Viola Davis. I love her.
I love the EGOT too.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I love Viola. I didn't want any of the other ones. So,
okay.
yeah.
True.
Didn't vote.
Okay. Why not?
I just didn't want to. I just feel like
Word.
it's really bad as a
alright.
citizen, but I didn't
Facts.
vote.
Okay.
I voted for Kamala. Yeah.
What was like your number one reason for voting for her?
Mostly just because I support her views. Her and Tim Walz's views. So that's why I just like I followed up with them on the news and stuff. So I support their views. Yeah.
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
I didn't vote. I would have voted for Kamala Harris, but I didn't get to vote. I was in Army basic training, and I didn't get a chance to vote. So.
Okay, Army basic training.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
As somebody in the Army, I'm presuming, do you feel like there's such a push on woke military right now? You know what I mean? Talk to me about that idea.
I feel like there's more people saying that the military is woke than the military is actually pushing to be woke.
Right.
I think there's a lot of stuff going on that people would say, or a lot of changes maybe in the Army and military as a whole that people say is woke, but I wouldn't necessarily agree with that.
Cool.
I vote for Kamala.
What about you?
Harris, yeah.
Kamala.
Okay, cool. Hey, the internet's gonna like y'all. I just want to let y'all know that for now.
Kamala Harris.
Yes, for sure. Kamala Harris.
Yeah, Kamala Harris.
Okay, true.
Not about it. No doubt about it.
Kamala.
Okay. Yeah. What was like your number one reason for voting for?
I guess just because my dad's a Border Patrol agent.
Yeah.
And how Trump handled the border issue last election, he told me it just was a really not good way to go about it. And everything that kind of happened last time, he was just like, I don't want to see that happen again.
That's interesting.
Who did I vote for? Kamala.
Same.
Hey, Kamala.
Okay, cool.
Black Queen.
Yeah.
Kamala.
Kamala Harris.
Kamala. Kamala.
Yeah. Okay. What was like the number one reason that you voted for her? The number one reason for voting, maybe.
I voted for her primarily because of the women's rights, you know? I feel like when people think about women's rights, they're thinking about, oh, abortion is wrong, you're killing the baby. But some people have, like, problems with their pregnancy. That's why they get abortions and, like, fetal anatomies or anything like that.
For sure.
I feel like that's kind of why I voted for it. People should have right of choice with their body. And because they don't have right of choice with their body, they're dying, like, as of now. Yeah.
I didn't vote.
Okay, why not?
I just thought it was very divisive, and Trump has his vices, and I didn't know too much about Kamala, so I was more of I was kind of unsure where to fall into the political spectrum, and I'm over middle, so.
Right. Okay, cool.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
I didn't vote.
Didn't vote.
I voted for Trump as well. Yeah.
What was like y'all's main reason for supporting Trump? Like one policy, maybe?
I think his economic policies.
Okay, got you. What about you?
My family we own businesses, so it just benefits us more if he's in office versus Kamala. Yeah.
How do y'all feel about like him? His first day was in office yesterday, right?
Yeah.
How do y'all feel like about him doing a lot of other things besides things related to the economy or lowering prices, like mass deportation or uncapping the prescription drug costs?
I mean, I can only speak on one thing, and that's the mass deportation thing. And I mean, when my family came here, we came here legally, so it only makes sense that other people come here legally as well. But that's like my opinion.
Do you feel like y'all came here legally, which is great? Do you feel like maybe like the system is just unfair, so it's not easy for people to come here legally, despite you were able to come here legally?
Well, I don't know the specifics. I just know that my dad he got a master's degree in India, and that's how he got his visa to come here. So,
I would prefer not to answer that.
Okay, true.
Because, like I said, I saw both sides as equally good and bad.
Yes.
They both had really good points, and I supported both of them in a lot of things.
Okay.
So I would prefer not to answer that.
No, that's right.
But I mean, definitely, I feel like in this situation in which we are, sadly, we are making it more than it is at times and less than it is. So it's not as bad as it seems. And both with the government telling us that certain people are doing certain crimes, as well as the government deporting thousands. It's not necessarily, it's not white and black. Okay. I think we live in a gray zone.
Okay, cool. We are at UT Austin on our Texas tour at Gen Z Generation at War. Today we dove into the unfiltered, undiagnosed ideas of the people here. A lot of these people are very liberal, open-minded, and progressive. But if I'll say one thing about being here, there is an interesting conundrum when it comes to race. The problem is that people don't know things about race. They don't know the effects of racism. They don't understand how it affects different races disproportionately. there's this idea that we should be race blind and not race conscious. But if we're race blind, then we'll perpetuate the racism that's already so deeply sewn into our consciousnesses. And that is a true issue. At UT, I've thought a lot about how I think as Black and brown people, we have to understand each other's struggle better than we're currently understanding it. Because what's happening is that we're not understanding each other's struggle, and so we're not together and aligned in struggle. And if we're not aligned, well, that's why we have 50% of certain populations voting for fucking Donald Trump. Which is a big fucking issue concerning his best buddy just did the Nazi salute on Inauguration Day. Now what else do I have to say? I think Texas is amazing because I love my home state. And I think as Gen Z, as this generation, we have such access to education, and it's simply just my plea that we use it. Because maybe we don't have to be a generation at war. Maybe we can be a generation that, well, breaks war, beats war, whatever the fuck it is. Anyways, war out.